Who's there? When people visit my house, they are often amused to see small piles of cash, small piles of money, $2, $3, on the table by our front door and scattered throughout the house. When they ask me what it's for, I tell them it's for the little people. The little people. The good people. The Gentry. The Fairies. All the denizens, all the citizens of the Goblin universe. What happened is this. One night at 3 a.m., someone rang the front doorbell. I was lying half asleep in my warm bed, my wife gently snoring beside me. And yeah, she does snore. But I figured I had merely dreamt it, and so I went back to sleep. And the very next night at 3 a.m., someone or something rang the front doorbell. This time I did get up, and standing just inside the front door, I softly called, "Who's there? Who's there? I mean, who comes calling at 3 in the morning?" No answer. I looked through the peephole. Nothing there. I sucked in my breath. It's never a good idea to throw the front door open at 3 a.m., but that's what I did. There was no one there. Just darkness and cold air. Cold air, as this happened on an October night back in the 1990s. I went back to bed and tried to put it from my mind. Tomorrow was a work day and 7 a.m. comes early. And at 3 a.m. the following morning, someone or something rang the front doorbell for the third time. This time I threw the door open without any hesitation. And of course, there was no one and nothing there, just darkness and cold air. No one and nothing there, just darkness and cold air. And so I said, I don't know who you are, but you can't come in. You can't come in unless you're good. If you're good, you can come in, but not if you're bad. And with that, I shut the door and went back to bed, wondering if I had made a mistake. I mean, you're not supposed to invite supernatural entities to come in out of the darkness. You're not supposed to allow them in. For example, a vampire cannot come out of the cold unless you surrender to its entreaties and allow it in. Same deal with the BEK, the black-eyed children. I'd read somewhere that, in the past, people had put out food or a small amount of money as an offering to the... what? Spirits? And so the very next night, in order to ensure the benevolence of whatever I had let in, I put out $3 in coin on the table by the front door. Over time, I put small amounts of coin by the side door and at other strategic points around the house, and I've never touched them, in spite of the passage of time. I look at it as a form of insurance. I don't know what had knocked on my front door, but I wanted to keep on its good side. My friends smile when I tell them what the money is for. They think I'm eccentric. All right, they think I'm nuts. But what do you think, dear listeners? Do you think I'm nuts? What do you think? Did I do the right thing by inviting the good and only the good spirits to come in? And am I correct in leaving money, wages, out for them? What do you think? Do you believe in the little people, the good people? Let's face it, in this modern, supposedly rational age, who believes in the little people? Recently, commenting on a news story about the Girl Guides of Canada changing the name of their branch for 7 and 8-year-olds from Brownies, and they have been called Brownies as long as I can remember, a local radio talk show host and former member of the Canadian Parliament admitted on air that he hadn't known that a brownie was also a well-known spirit, one of the little people. According to Wikipedia, a brownie, quote, is a household spirit or hobgoblin from Scottish folklore that is said to come out at night while the owners of the house are asleep and perform various chores and farming tasks. The human owners of the house must leave a bowl of milk or cream or some other offering for the brownie, usually by the hearth. A similar definition can be found in Carol Rose's Spirits, Fairies, Gnomes, and Goblins, an encyclopedia of the little people. Brownie, quote, this is a household spirit of Northern English and Scottish folklore. The brownie is described as being like a very small, brown, shaggy human, sometimes naked and sometimes wearing ragged brown clothes. End of quote. Brownies were industrious spirits who would do tedious housework in exchange for fresh cream or newly baked bread or cake. I don't think whatever I admitted is a brownie, and I'm not really sure I admitted anything. But we still have to do all our own chores and tedious jobs around here. Still, the house has remained safe and warm, so if anything entered, it is benevolent. But, as I noted earlier, our modern, supposedly rational world has forgotten the little people. Well, I plan to help remedy that. Over the next few months, I plan to present a number of videos which will explore the world of the little people. The world, to quote Carol Rose's book title, of spirits, fairies, gnomes, and goblins. Won't you please join me? I only hope that making these videos won't upset any special visitors to my house. I will leave you today with a final question. Are the BEK, the black-eyed children, fairies, or demons? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Pumpkinhead, a ghost story, told live at the DMS, October 25th, 2019. I lived in Jokeville and had just moved into a brand new house in a brand new subdivision when the nightmares started. Or maybe I should have said nightmare, because it was always the same nightmare. It was a bright moonlit night in midsummer, and I was making my way down a path along the edge of a farmer's field, with woods nearby. I said it was the same nightmare, but the details varied. Sometimes all I experienced was a sudden sharp blow on the back of the neck, knocking me to the ground. But at other times, I became aware of a shadowy figure at the periphery of my vision, before once again being knocked down. Other times, I saw him emerge from the woods, a short, squat man who looked somewhat familiar, wearing a cap, and carrying an axe, in his muscular arms. Sometimes he charged me, axe raised, while other nights I dreamed I turned tail and ran, whilst he chased me in the moonlight. I always woke up in a cold sweat, sometimes more than once a night. I loved my new house, but this was getting me down. One reason I loved the house was it allowed me to have a vegetable garden, but this year I decided to have my own pumpkin patch. It was when my pumpkins began to mature during the last hot days of August and September that I noticed their deformity. Instead of the usual jack-o'-lantern shape, my pumpkins actually looked like human heads, complete with high foreheads and noses. "I guess I won't be decorating with them," I said ruefully. And in the meantime, the nightmares were really ramping up, and I was almost afraid to go to sleep at night. And then it was Canadian Thanksgiving and Halloween. Pumpkin time. I'd gone for a walk late one night and noticed a lighted jack-o'-lantern sitting on a neighbor's porch. I liked the design and thought I might copy it if I ever grew a decent pumpkin. The next evening I went for another walk, only to find the pumpkin gone. It was gone and replaced with a severed human head. It was the head of a young man with a high forehead and prominent nose, sitting in a pool of dripping gore. The sight shocked me, but then I realized that it must have been a Halloween decoration. "It's pretty realistic for a Halloween decoration," I said to myself. "In fact, it's gory, it's gross." But then I looked again, and it was only a pumpkin. "Better get my damned eyes checked," I muttered, shaking my head. You guys are just going to have to give me a second here. This is so hard to talk about. I just need a minute. Just give me a second. Just give me a moment. Okay, I'm better now. And then my troubles really started, you see. For each time I saw a pumpkin or a large squash, I saw a severed human head. Always the same head, the head of a young man with a high forehead and prominent nose, sitting in a pool of dripping gore. I'd blink my eyes, and it would be a pumpkin or a squash again. Oh God, I'm losing my mind," I told myself. And then the same weird phenomena happened to my very own pumpkins, in my pumpkin patch. They turned into a patch of severed heads. I had a bloody decapitation farm. Bloody? That was a poor choice of words. A wretched decapitation farm. One bright moonlit night, I couldn't take it anymore, and decided to dig them all up and destroy them. I'd try again next year. Better luck next time. I hadn't dug down far when my spade hit something hard. Hard and white. Pushing the dirt away with my fingers, I recoiled. It was a human skull. At first I thought it was a prank, but on closer examination, I knew it was real. How did it get there? Who could have put it there? And why? And how was I going to explain it? Explain it without somebody thinking that I'd done it as a prank. Or maybe that I'd done something more serious. Like murder. Like axe murder. Why did I think of axe murder? But that's what popped into my mind. I know now it was stupid, but I reburied it and went back to bed. Things came to a head. Ouch. Oh, ouch, ouch. They came to a climax in quite a public manner. I was at a huge grocery store with my new girlfriend, and she just picked out a large, round pumpkin to use as a decoration. But as she walked towards me, I could see she actually cradled a severed human head in her arms. The same severed human head that haunted me, haunted my dreams. The blood from the decapitated head ran down her arms and was dripping on her blouse, her jeans, over her sandaled feet, with her lovely little red toes. Now they were red with blood. I shrieked and tore the gory head from her, dashing it to the ground, as I grabbed her and started dragging her towards the parking lot, to the front door, to the parking lot. "Quick, we gotta get away. We gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here," I cried, and she screamed and tried to wriggle from my grasp. 3 security guards took me down just outside the door. The police were called and I was arrested and sent for a psychiatric evaluation. Of course they checked my house, and of course they checked the garden, and of course they dug it all up, and of course they found the skull and a complete skeleton of a man who'd been decapitated, and of course I was charged with murder. You have to give me another minute here. I was charged with murder, and I'd probably be in jail now. Maybe even doing life. But then the forensic unit made an unusual discovery. The skull and the rest of the bones were at least a century old. The victim had been decapitated, but the murder had taken place at least 100 years ago. The cops may have suspected me of playing an elaborate prank, but then the local history librarian came to them with the following yarn, the following bit of unofficial local history. Back in 1897, 2 young farm laborers were competing for the same farmer's daughter, the same wealthy, beautiful young farmer's daughter. It was not a friendly competition. They hated each other. Then one of the rivals, Tony, suddenly disappeared without a trace, leaving no note or forwarding address. And so, after a while, the second man, Jim, won the girl. The farm where the men worked and competed for fair Emma's affections was on the same land as a new subdivision. The new subdivision I lived in. The subdivision that included my new home, and my vegetable garden, and my pumpkin patch. Jim was my great-great-grandfather. Was he also an axe murderer? Did he get rid of Tony one moonlit night, burying the corpse in what became of my pumpkin patch? What became my pumpkin patch? Yeah, what became of it? Were the nightmares and illusions Tony's revenge? Well then, hey, Tony, leave me out of this. I wasn't there. I wasn't born yet. I wasn't conceived, even thought of. You want revenge, Tony? You want revenge? Go down to hell and have it out with great-great-grandpa. Have a duel, loaded pumpkins at 50 paces. Just leave me alone. Alone! I spent some time in hospital, but I'm okay now. I moved to another province, and I have a new girlfriend now. But I always make sure I'm out of the country for Thanksgiving, and Halloween. I go to sensible places like the UK, where they burn dummies of Guy Fawkes in bonfires, or Mexico for the relaxing Day of the Dead, which is more like several days of the dead. Ha ha! Tequila! The rest of the time, I'm fine. Unless someone says something like pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie! Because if you say pumpkin pie, I want mine with ice cream. WSJ here. Happy Turkey and Pumpkin Days, everyone. And help celebrate by sharing this video, or leaving a comment, dropping a like, and subscribing for more Night Floaters and ghost stories of a librarian, as well as ghost stories told live and unplugged at the DMS. Until next time, stay hungry. Greetings, dear listeners. Hope you're all doing well. Well, now that the snow has melted, I figured we were done with Skinwalkers and Wendigos. Done with Skinwalkers and Wendigos. But maybe not. Connor writes, "Hey Warren, I watched some of your videos about your experiences with Skinwalkers targeting your house, and I think, hell, I know damn well something similar happened to me just the other day. Or should I say night. I went to bed pretty late, and as I was falling asleep, I thought I heard something at the front door. Something moving around the house, but it was kind of a blustery night, so I just put it down to the wind. The wind. Although I could have sworn I heard something calling my name. Faintly, but calling my name. Still, I might have forgotten about it, except for the dreams. They totally freaked me out. I dreamt this huge, dark, rotting thing, which stood on two legs, was moving around the outside of the house until it reached the outer wall directly behind the head of my bed. Somehow it was able to look through the wall, look through a solid wall, and I know it sounds totally loony. It somehow put thoughts into my head, put nightmares in my head. The first nightmare had me walking through the woods as night was falling. It was winter and there was snow on the ground, and the trees were all dead and gray. A shadowy thing was following me, flitting from tree to tree and gaining on me as I stumbled around in the half-light, careening off tree trunks and tripping over deadfall. And then it was upon me so fast. It was like I was watching a speeded up film, so fast I didn't even have time to scream. But I did once. It was choked off. The scene then shifted, as it does in dreams, but this time it was me following someone. Me following a total stranger through the same dark forest, following them in order to kill. No, not just kill, but to rip them asunder, rip them to pieces in order to feast on their flesh. And then I attacked, and it was so disgusting. I woke up, ran to the bathroom, and vomited in the toilet. That seemed to break the spell in a pretty drastic way, and I slept then. But in the morning, I was curious about the noise I'd heard in the night, so I decided to check my Doorcam footage. And I was in for a shock. At 2:26 a.m., there was this face, if you could call it that. This face staring in at the camera. It looked like a mangy, emaciated coyote, but a coyote with antlers, if you can imagine, with a huge gaping maw and teeth. Wow! Row upon row of them, and they looked very sharp, razor sharp. But the worst thing was, it spoke to me. It spoke to me and it called me by name, or at least it slurped out my name in this sickening and gelatinous manner. Connor, Connor, Connor. So what was this thing that knows my name and gives me nightmares? Skinwalker or Wendigo? I was going to send you the footage, but when I went back and looked for it again, the thing in its voice had vanished. Gone! I am not making this up. What is going on? Help! So, dear listeners, what do you think? Skinwalker or Wendigo? My money is on a Skinwalker now that the snow is gone. But what do you think? Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. And stay safe, stay subscribed, ring that bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and feel free to share this video or any of my videos with anyone you please. If this is your first visit to my channel, my name is Warren. I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories featuring such cryptids as the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. So I hope you will consider subscribing. Please subscribe and help me to reach my goal of 2,021 subs in 2021. I'm now going to ask the lovely and talented camera crew to give us a panorama shot of our surroundings here on the shores of the mighty Pile of Bones Creek. The mighty Pile of Bones Creek. And till midnight, cheers.